and it's going to have a theme, and it's going to be, unfortunately, mega union busting. Damn.
Okay.
All right. So what's going on? So first thing is Scott Cooper over at Left Voice. He's one of the veterans there. He's been writing over there for a long time, labor movement stuff. They launched an anti-union website. Unreal. So
An anti-union. Okay. Sure.
Right? So they've released an anti-union website of its own and advised that people have fun checking it out. Chock full of we're all in this together, partner drivel, right? So as the movement for unionization expands, not all bosses take this carrot and stick approach, but Starbucks has launched its friendly website only days after firing 7 union organizers, right? And that we covered last week, the Memphis 7.
Yep.
So reading through the FAQ, you'd think that they're all about helping employees make an informed decision, right? But it's all about basically saying no and how and why they should say no.
Yeah.
So the FAQ begins with their why are they providing this? And it's because they're hearing from union organizers and the bosses are whining that they should hear from us too. Uh-huh. So, hey, how about that? Thanks, boss.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take long to reach much of a provocative question, right? Second on the list, what can I do if another partner won't leave me alone about supporting a union, right?
Of course.
Unbelievable. Like already yes, it can be annoying and you don't want to hear if you don't want to hear anymore, but it's still legally protected. So show kindness and respect already. Like don't be hostile, but tell someone.
Right.
But before encouraging them to rat out their coworkers and providing a phone number at corporate, like who's harassing them?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Will they quit working if the union is voted in? A couple of people that said that they will. Best thing that we can all do is provide the facts and opinions so every partner can make informed decisions, right? This is very corporate speak. This is very washed through legal, coded language that's designed to steer people a certain way. And then they'll have bosses and meetings and meetings with bosses. And then they'll announce like, hey, we're having a company wide thing where it's not mandatory to show up, but it's optional.
Right.
And then we saw something early this week where they excluded the union leaders from sitting in on the meeting because they were trying to bash the unions. So NLRB administrative judge ruled that Starbucks had unlawfully retaliated against 2 Philadelphia baristas who had been working to unionize their location. And this is happening all over, really. Starbucks is doing this, and this is the theme that we're going to talk about today, because it's not just Starbucks that's taking this kind of action. Of course, we've heard in the past about some of the others, and I've got a couple of other examples here tonight. So again, the NLRB is authorized to stop the unfair practice more immediately, but rarely does so. And what it calls excessive delays. I mean, this is what's going on. Time-honored attack on union dues, right? They get their revenue from dues, and that's going to go to fund the union. So again, it's very anti-union rhetoric. It's anti-worker rhetoric. It's anti-organizing rhetoric, and which makes it anti-worker rhetoric in the end, because it's pro-capitalism. It's pro-corporate profits.
Right. If you tell a worker, hey, look, like $5 out of your paycheck is going to go so that we can have lawyers get paid if you need to, like, legally combat the company, or, so that you get benefits at the end, or, any of those things. Like, if you told those people that, they'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But if you say union dues, like,
oh, it scares everybody.
It's somehow scary.
Well, not only that, but there are certain rights and certain things that they scare you that you're going to be giving up as the member of a union. So right. So we certainly don't want to see that. Nevertheless, research has proven again that being the member of a union and paying dues associated with a significant premium in pay, even if you're paying dues in this country, and that it's how much? A 17% median weekly earning over non-unionized workers.
Yep.
I don't know about versus those that are, you know, union. I guess they're all, you know, that are in a co-op or other things. But again, that's non-unionized. That's part of it. But it's associated
Part
with
of it,
greater
right.
benefits, right? So that they have job-related health coverage, but that number is much, much lower for non-unionized workers.
Yep.
Yeah, this
No, I mean,
is
it
a
makes sense.
pretty substantial
Yep.
article. Retailers like Target and Walmart have used similar arguments in their own propaganda against unions. I'm a big fan
Right.
of Scott Cooper and Left Voice, like I've been saying. They've been doing some excellent work lately. So shout out to them for covering what's going on with this Starbucks website, and he did actually include a link to it. I think that's right here. It's one.starbucks.com. We are one Starbucks. I mean, it's very flowery corporate speak. It's yes, we need the protections of unions. You know, the union in general has more power collectively to fight against management because they can do the one thing that an individual cannot, which is hold out the collective labor from management and stop the profitability of the organization.
Yeah.
So this is again what the partner benefits are, and how much did Starbucks spend on this in alone, just making this website.
Yeah.
So very interesting. It can take 12 to 13 months for a union. So they're giving you facts.
Yeah.
I think that there is no opt out. So, you know, it's fear mongering tactics because they don't want
Right.
a union.
Yep.
I think it would be interesting if you actually put it to a vote to the shareholders, to the general shareholders, not to the majority
Yep.
shareholders that actually vote as a publicly traded company. I think you'd find that a lot of them actually did support a union for the employees. So,
Yeah.
and I did hear a couple things about like how somebody wanted you to go into the store and say we believe in unionizing, and you know, say that's what your name is. You know, first name is we love, last name unions. And they're like, if we yell that
Yeah.
out in the store, then we'll get fired, we'll get fined, and we'll get in trouble. Like, damn, okay. So that's what's going on
Yep.
with the Starbucks propaganda. I'm going to take it off the screen because I don't even want to show it anymore. But the second
Show it.
story here is this REI Workers. So again,
Oh yeah. Yep.
REI, another retail outlet where the employees are trying to unionize, and the company, this is the Lower Manhattan store. All-star Sharon Zhang. Thank you again, Sharon Zhang, doing stellar work as she does every week. And yeah, nobody gets it all right all the time, but she's one of the people that I trust and rely on for accurate quality data and great articles. And I think that we've got several people in here like that this week. Actually, just about everybody we cover. Really solid stuff. Again, we've curated and we've read a ton of mainstream and independent media, and this is we pick one story basically per day at this point, maybe a second one, but in curating all of this is what we're finding in a 7-day stretch, and we're updating this stuff 7 days a week. I'm putting out a ton of content. So again, unionizing REI workers in Lower Manhattan launched a petition requesting that they stop its union busting campaign.
Yeah.
Soho, they filed to unionize last month, refused to voluntarily recognize the union, even though they constantly tout its supposedly progressive values, right? Collaborative working environment. They pulled out intimidation tactics and other anti-union moves. So what are they saying? And here's a link to the petition again. Here's a link in the chat to the article itself. I'll drop that in there. Okay. So in the petition, they're saying that the employer's been forcing workers to attend anti-union meetings, company executives, like I was exactly talking about, where they kind of discourage you, but there's nothing on the record. They have you attend these mandatory meetings. Sometimes it's a one-on-one. Sometimes it's in a group setting where there's a manager talking in front of a whole group of people that are at similar or multiple levels. Anti-union flyers are getting handed out. I know there's been stuff about placed in company bathrooms.
Yeah.
Right? They filed for representation with the retail, wholesale, and department store union, which is what the Amazon workers, I remember, were trying to also organize through. That's the RWDSU. So again, though the company touts that it's a co-op, employees say management doesn't hold true to its values, to its purported values at least. Right. So much like Starbucks is, they need union representation, unsafe working conditions, a tangible shift in culture at work that doesn't seem to align with the values that brought most of us here. Right. Again, I'm not sure if that's protective gear or time off for sick time or more to take care of family if they have gotten sick, or time off if you have the effects of the jabby jab if you decide to go get one.
Right.
To all of us, that means employees need a seat at the table. And again, so they're trying to unionize rather than just co-op, which also is interesting. But what they're saying is that as a co-op, they're not really, it's really structured more top down, and the bosses are getting the lion's share of the say, and they're not being properly represented. So again, progressive customers been frustrated. 25-minute on its anti-union website. Another one that had an anti-union website. Similarly to Starbucks. See, again, and Sharon's all over it. She knows right there. REI's is chock full of misinfo about unions, contains vague threats about how any union. What I'd like to see her do is actually go through and point by point take apart what misinformation and vague threats about how any union contract made of cutting hours or benefits, or that again it's final.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on at REI, and then we've also got our friends and our not so much friends. Amazon's anti-union scare tactics. What are they doing?
Yep. Probably. I'm betting a website.
Well, it's more than that, but yes, they said they might try to cut pay to the minimum wage if workers vote in favor of unionizing. I don't even know how they could do that. I mean, not with state and federal laws. Big shout out to Kenny Stansel. He's been knocking it out this week. He had like 4 or 5 articles that made the top 7 or 8, and that's that every day. That's pretty solid this week out of 7 days. So, again, during a mandatory anti-union meeting Wednesday, again, mandatory. That's what they're doing to these guys. And I think this is Staten Island. This is one of the Staten Island warehouses. But this union buster said that the negotiation phase of the process is called collective bargaining. And in the negotiation, there are no guarantees. You could end up with better, the same, or worse than you already have. So again, they're saying that they're going to actually lose ground, potentially collective bargaining, which traditionally has not really happened. JFK 8, like I said, it's a sprawling one in Staten Island. We've covered JFK 8, and we covered the three Amazon warehouses are currently in the process of attempting to unionize.
Yep.
I'll tell you, Chris Legion did a phenomenal video about the hidden ways that corporations union bust and discourage unionization among their employees. And how they punish people that even talk about it. Right? So, again, supporting all the workers, exposing that this union busting is happening, and that corporations are afraid. The reason why they're doing this is because they're afraid. They're discouraging their workers from organizing and from collectively bargaining with them. And look at that. ALU is led by our friend Chris Smalls, friend of the show. Former employee at JFK 8 was fired after he organized a walkout protest almost 2 years ago. Can you imagine? We've been following Chris Smalls' life and story, and Chris Smalls has been a crazy, a passionate activist out there for almost 2 years at this point. That's just remarkable. I mean, we heard about him because he was talking about how there was no protective gear in the Amazon warehouses. And he wasn't going to stand for it, and it's really frightening. And they did nothing to really protect him and protect the people in the warehouse. And in the end, he ended up being fired. Okay, mostly for being for being a mouthpiece and for speaking out against the company and for being a whistleblower. Again, more than 100 workers are organizers for the independent union. They filed nearly 24 complaints with the NLRB, alleging that they illegally threaten employees. Loss of pay. This is what happened in Bessemer. We know about all of this, and we talked about this last month. And again, NLRB throughout the settlement, throughout the results of the election, because of the amount of influence that the company had tried to illegally impart on the process and on the outcome of the election, where I believe only about 16 or 17% of the total employees voted at all. And then they got a terrible showing on top of it. Right?
Yeah, they got crumbs pretty much, if anything.
Again, it is illegal for employers to prevent, interfere with, or retaliate against any employees' unionization efforts. Have to go be 100% clear. This is illegal.
Yep.
Who's going to enforce it? And that's what the company's counting on. That they've bought all the jailers. They've bought all the cops on the street. Here, make the threat and try to walk it back, but once you poison the well, you can't take it back. Doesn't mean the threat wasn't made and heard by all. Yeah, great. Okay, it's just like when you say something in front of a jury and it's like, strike that from the record. Great, jury still heard it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just means that in the future, when somebody reads about the case, they can't read what the jury actually was influenced by. It's actually kind of bad in a lot of ways.
Right.
So again, this keeps going. Great job, Kenny. I'm trying to get them the Common Dream staff for some interviews on upcoming Friends of Indie Left, and I've reached out to them and we started to have some conversations, so look for that hopefully in the upcoming future. But I'm a huge fan of this outlet. Look, again, not everyone is perfect. Some of them have takes and angles that we're going to disagree with, but this is one of the best ones out there, and they routinely, on a daily basis, put out quality stories, and they, in my opinion, have the best overall writing staff of 7, 8, 10 people when you collectively add them up together. Just every single one of them, top quality, great content, great takes, and great writing. So shout out to Common Dreams. And we're going to have a couple more Common Dreams articles coming up. But that's the end of our labor segment, and we covered labor a bunch last week. This is more union bustings that's happening, and I think everybody really needs to hear about this. And again, it's not just Amazon, it's Starbucks, it's REI, it's a lot of these Fortune 500 companies that are just scared because their employees are actually getting together and saying, "We deserve better. We're not gonna take this anymore." So